Hello, welcome back. The audiophile reissues really piled up in the last couple of weeks. And so, of course, I want to share some of my thoughts with you about those releases. And in this video, we will go through them. And in this video, we will have the whole variety of the audiophile reissues of analog production. We have a UHQR, we have Atlantic 75s, we have Pablos, and we even have a box set, which is not so common when it comes to analog production. But hey, let's start. Let's start with the latest installment of the Atlantic 75 series. And we start with Ray Charles. We have already seen one Ray Charles release, very, very early at the beginning of the series. And that was so far one of my favorites. It's an amazing mono blues release, and I really loved it, and I was really eager to get more of those Ray Charles reissues. Also due to the fact that we haven't seen many audiophile reissues of this artist. And of course Ray Charles is one of the giants in the blues scene. And now we got the genius of Ray Charles. Of course, not needed to say, but I still mention it, 45 RPM release in a Stoughton tip-on gatefold jacket. On the inside we have some session photos of Ray Charles, information on the backside, and like always, very sturdy jacket. And now we have a 1959 recording. So very, very early stereo, and was really interesting to listen to that blues masterpiece. I think this record is around 250 in the top 500 records of all time on the Rolling Stones list. And yeah, yet again, like the first release from Ray Charles, an amazing record. He teamed up here with musicians from Duke Ellington and Count Basie, and powerful blues record. You can imagine, if you're into blues, if you're into Ray Charles, you for sure gonna love that release. The Genius of Ray Charles, 1959, and now in its full audiophile glory as a 45 RPM version. I'll show you the label, because this is the Green Atlantic label. You can see that here. So it's a bit different. I think green, correct me if I'm wrong, I think green is stereo at that time, and the pinkish red is mono. I'm not 100%. Maybe write that in the comments if I'm wrong. Then please be so kind and correct me. I want to have that microphone. Yeah, amazing piece of art. Ray Charles, the genius. The second release was, of course, one of the highly anticipated releases in the whole series. We will only see one release from this artist, if I'm not seriously mistaken here. And we got Roberta Flack, Killing Me Softly. Sadly, she died not that long ago. And this 1973 funk soul release is not on vinyl. I think it's on silk and velvet. A friend of mine, a customer of mine, he listened to it, and then we met, and then he said, Michael, I have never ever heard Killing Me Softly that beautiful and that powerful. And he is a huge fan of that record, so he knows it on more versions than I do. But I can second that this sounds fantastic, really fantastic. It's so clear. When the bells come during Killing Me Softly, they are in the middle of the room. That's brilliant. So happy to have that. Of course, 45 RPM version, Stoughton gatefold tip-on jacket. session photos. And yeah, finally we have Killing Me Softly from Roberta Flack as this wonderful, wonderful edition. I don't show the label here in that case because that's the typical Atlantic 75 or Atlantic label you already know. And now we get into the third release of this month, and we got yet another Coltrane Jazz. We already have seen 3 releases in the series. We have Coltrane Plays the Blues, we have Giant Steps, and we have My Favorite Things. So now we got Coltrane Jazz, his 1961 release. I think it was recorded 59 and 60 with his old mates from the Miles Davis group. And yeah, I mean these Coltrane Atlantic releases, the records he put out on Atlantic are wow. This is a Coltrane at its best on all 4 records. This one is a very, for me, it came very positive, very uplifting, beautiful jazz. Of course, for those of you who have one or the 3 others, you know how fantastic the quality of those reissues are. So I don't need to get into it too deep. We have the same here. Really, really amazing. And of course we have John Coltrane on the soprano sax and tenor sax. We have McCoy Tyner on the piano, Steve Davis on bass, and Elvin Jones on drums. Can't go wrong when it comes to this band. Highly recommended, yeah. Now of course I wait, or a lot of us waits for the next yes, Close to the Edge and the Genesis ABBA Cup. Let's see. I hope they come soon. And then we have yet another milestone, a real milestone, especially for analog production. I think that was the largest, the biggest, the most adventurous thing Chet Kasem ever did. And now it's done in a way. We have them all now. This is the last installment in the Steely Dan UHQR series. We have now the wonderful Royal Scam. I mean, we have Katie Light, Can't Buy a Thrill, Pretzel Logic, Gaucho, Asia, Royal Scam. I hope I didn't forget one. All masterpieces. All of them are, in my opinion, amazing. And now it's done. What an achievement. What an achievement. And of course, the Royal Scam is on par with all the others. Of course, the biggest ones, the largest ones are of course Gaucho and Asia. But the other ones, they are on the same level. I for myself really have difficulties to rank them, and yeah, so happy he really did it. Of course, I'll show you the jacket in a wonderful glossy Stoughton gatefold jacket. Look at that, wonderful, just wonderful. And of course the records comes separate and not in the covers, in the jacket, so that you don't have to be afraid of seam splits. I show you the label, and here you go. That's how this beauty looks. Yeah, we have more. Took quite some time. I think it was 2.5 years or longer. Wow, that really was quite something. Nobody else, no other company, I think, gave those records such a treatment and put them out as real audiophile reissues. And now, in a way, five steps smaller, but for sure not musically, because the surprisingly successful series of the Pablo reissues now goes into its second round. And at least here in Europe, we do love those Pablos. So they also have a very special sound. They have for sure a distinctive cover design, which doesn't make it too easy to distinguish them when you have a lot of them in the record shelf. But that's another story. But yeah, it goes on. Luckily, it goes on, and the first two releases are from Joe Pass. We have Joe Pass portraits of Duke Ellington now, and we have Zoot Sims plus Joe Pass Blues for Two. Two amazing Pablo Records, and you know, they not only the jacket, the cover art is typically, also those the music on it, the sound of it is typically for the Pablo reissues. Never forget, Norman Granz founded Pablo after he sold Verve, and both releases are from this one is from 1975 and this one is from 1983, so quite late. And you know, those musicians on the Pablo label, they really were so happy to get the possibility to put out more stuff, to get back into the studio, and they gave it all. And what's also really worth mentioning when it comes to this Pablo releases is that Matthew Luthans at Analog Production masters them, and he is in the absolute amazing situation that he can use Doug Sax all tube mastering system, and yeah, wonderful, really wonderful. I really do hope that we see a lot of reissues in the future that are mastered on that tube system from Doug Sax. That's amazing, really amazing. Yeah, and what's also really amazing is the last item I briefly talk about in this video. Yeah, it's getting heavy now. It was really a huge surprise when this one got announced back that it's available again. And I'm talking about the Creedence Clearwater Revival box set from Amazon, from Analog Production, absolute originals. I would have never ever thought that Chet get the possibility to repress them, but he got it. He got it. I'm quite sure this is a one-time event, and but it's also important because, you know, Analog Production doesn't do that many box sets. We have a Miles Davis box set, if I remember correctly. We have a Blood, Sweat and Tears box set, a Doors box set, and this box set, and a Monk box set, which is already gone again. And this Creedence is a legend, an icon, and Grail amongst audiophile collectors. You also could see that it went far beyond 1,000 euros here in Europe when it was gone for quite some time. But now here is the one-time chance. Now it's back. And this is of course amazing and great that those who missed it out a long time ago, really a long time ago, now have the chance to get this amazing box set again. So, that being said, I think I'm through. I hope I didn't forget a record. And tomorrow I will go to my record store and talk to people who buy records, which is a totally new An amazing experience, really amazing. It's wonderful. Maybe if you're interested, I will talk a bit more about it at a certain point and share some insights and share some experiences I've made in the last couple of weeks. That's really quite something. Okay, thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.